New tonight, from dropping out of high school to getting his doctorate, now taking over as a new Clay County sheriff.
Will Akin sat down with 41 Action News anchor Lindsay Shively to hear how past hardships now shape his perspective.
Newly elected Sheriff Will Akin is not new to the Clay County Sheriff's Office.
We actually moved here December 1st of 2012.
But he has shared glimpses of a much longer journey growing up in California.
And on Thanksgiving, you tweeted a picture of you and your brother. The last time we shared a McDonald's meal in a car in a parking lot was 36 years ago. He was 6 and I was 9. We were homeless and living in our mom's station wagon. Look at us now.
We will go through hard times, but it's not always going to be hard. And so I wanted to share it. Growing up, went through a lot of hardship. And growing up, it was really just me, him, and my mom. I can't even comprehend how hard life was for her.
I remember sleeping in the car and then eating out of the garbage cans back of stores and stuff like that.
His brother Robert is now a custodian with the Clay County Sheriff's Office, hired, Akin says, by the previous sheriff.
We went through so much that even today, in our 40s, we're still very close. Extremely close. My brother and I, we didn't realize that we were homeless. I do have very unfond memories of, her crying because my brother and I were eating and she couldn't eat.
One year, when their mom told them they couldn't afford Christmas, they found stuck in their front door a tumbleweed and inspiration. An anonymous donation soon followed to help buy presents and food.
Instead of saying Christmas tree, I said, oh, how about we just sing Old Tumbleweed? So we decorated.
I got my first job when I was 12 years old. And I was climbing palm trees with a chainsaw about the size of me.
I know he was really young, taking care of me and my mom and stuff, being my brother, but also being a dad at the same time.
I dropped out of high school when I was 16 because I thought it was more important to help support my mom and my brother.
Take me back to 16 and that decision and what life was like.
Man, I hated my teenage years. I hated it. The neighborhood that we grew up in was not a nice neighborhood. I finally realized I have to get out of here. Otherwise, I don't know where my future lies. And so that's when I got my GED and I joined the Army.
He says he continued his education while he served and during his law enforcement career. And in frames in his office, his GED and now his doctorate.
Do you think what you experienced formed how you serve?
Absolutely. And the reason why I say that is because I understand what it's like to live under those circumstances and conditions.
He also teaches at a local university.
There's a tremendous amount of dialogue about, recent events, and I actually challenge my students to talk about the things that are so hard, so difficult to talk about.
Last year, after the death of George Floyd, we saw nationwide and locally protests, calls for change, calls for racial justice, racial equity, and criticism of law enforcement and a lack of trust. What is your message to the Black community, to everyone in Clay County?
Especially now moving forward, this is not a secret organization. I invite members of the public, regardless of the color of skin, to come in and learn more about us.
Have there been any changes or evaluations or examining things over the last year?
Oh, absolutely. But again, we don't wait until a critical incident happens. We are constantly reviewing our policies.
Has anything changed recently?
Yes. So one of the biggest things is chokeholds. And with all the input from our federal partners and all of our regional partners, we have changed the standard of when you can apply a chokehold to when lethal use of force is warranted. That's the highest level. Now, we don't want to completely remove that option because sometimes when you're in that situation, you have to survive, but you have to do it in the best way possible.
Akin described different techniques and said they are also assessing that training.
What would you say to someone who would say chokeholds should not be used ever?
I would have a conversation with them and I would explain to them scenarios. If my option was between a chokehold or using my firearm, but I'm in a better position, better advantage point to use a chokehold, I know that we can save them a lot easier than shooting them.
Akin says transparency will be a priority.
Because the more everyone knows about our organization and our community, the better off we are.
Something he believes applies to his own story, too.
No matter where you've come from, that should never dictate where you can go.
Lindsay Shively, 41 Action News.
You can find more from Lindsay's conversation with Sheriff Akin about his mom and the teachers he credits with motivating him to succeed on our website, kshb.com.
The ice right here, it's pretty frozen. But with warmer temperatures this week, firefighters fear this ice will be deceiving, which is why they are training to save lives.
Tonight, Ariel Rothfield shows us what happens to your body after only a few seconds in icy cold water.
Warmer weather seems like a fantastic solution for that, but it will cause problems first. But here it comes. Details coming up.
You're watching 41 Action News.
Before the freezing temperatures warm up, firefighters with the Overland Park Fire Department hit the ice. Literally.
41 Action News reporter Ariel Rothfield shows us the training that's all aimed at saving lives.
It's a point of view firefighters never want you to see, but it's something they train for.
Reach,
Kick and pull,
throw, row, go.
Keep your hands on the ice.
That's the mantra when it comes to ice water rescues.
Here we can have our guys help us out, but not necessarily in the real deal.
Grab onto your arm.
With that in mind, Overland Park firefighters spent the day on the ice training, preparing for the worst case scenario.
It can be within 15 to 20 minutes. Things can go from okay to very bad.
So just how cold is it? I filled up this bowl with water and then I took change and dropped it in. I stuck my hand in.
Within a couple minutes, you start losing dexterity, you start losing motor function, and then things just kind of go downhill from there.
And in less than 40 seconds, I could barely pick it up.
With warmer weather in the forecast, there's a big fear that these run-throughs will become the real thing.
I always tell them to put their arms out in front of them.
Keep your hands on the ice.
The thought process is if their sleeves are soaking wet, and if it's cold enough, if they keep their arms out on the ice, they will actually freeze to the top layer of the ice and help keep them afloat.
So even if the ice looks thick, these firefighters say no matter how you see it, do not step onto the ice.
It's a bad situation for anybody.
Reporting in Overland Park, Ariel Rothfield, 41 Action News.
Every firefighter in Overland Park is trained for an ice water rescue. This is the first time in 3 years, though, the department was able to do this training because of the weather.
Here's Kansas City's most accurate forecast from Chief Meteorologist Gary Lezak.
And once temperatures warm up into the 50s and 60s just for a couple of days, that ice is going to get thinner and thinner and thinner, becoming even more dangerous. Hey, this has been a fascinating month. It started out, our whole winter was not that cold until we got to the 5th of February. And then, boom, the cold front came through, 24 on Saturday. 2 Saturdays ago, 8 degrees for a couple of days. It was -1 on Monday. Remember the high temperature, -13 for the low, and then 33 degrees today. 60 or higher on Tuesday. Looks good. It looks good. I'm telling you, some good weather coming our way. But a record-breaking stretch there of 15 degrees or lower in Kansas City. Never happened before at 15 degrees or lower. The snow continues to be on the ground. It's no longer fluffy. It's going to melt a little bit tomorrow. There may be some fog later tonight. It's 28 degrees, 69% relative humidity, a south-southwest wind at 11 miles per hour, and it's 18-degree wind chill factor. We look towards downtown Kansas City. It is Friday night in the big town. I am ready for the weekend. I'm sure a lot of you are too. 20s over the whole area on temperatures. And these are the wind chill factors. 14 degrees in Lee Summit, 19 degrees in Noster, 17 in Clinton. So a little cold. But after it got down to -13, this isn't that bad, is it? It's amazing how the body acclimates to the temperatures. All right, no Arctic air across the entire United States. A cold spot up there around Minneapolis, 10 degrees. They have about a foot of snow on the ground. The Arctic air has really retreated way up to the north. The weather pattern is now almost the exact opposite of what caused this. There was a big block in the upper levels of the atmosphere up here that forced the colder air down. That is now gone, completely no block, and it's going to be a little while, if at all, this winter where we get that cold again. I don't think it will. Look at this. These are the snowfall totals. The snowfall all the way down to Houston, Texas. But amazingly, Oklahoma City, 22 inches of snow this winter, 40 inches of snow in Omaha, 52 inches of snow in Des Moines, 45 in Chicago. And we've been in this corridor where the storms have not hit us directly. We have not been hit by one major snowstorm in Kansas City. We have a foot of snow from a lot of little small snows. But look at that, Lincoln 47 inches compared to our 12 inches. And then Wichita more than us, Tulsa more than us. So we've had snow, but we missed the big amounts. 14.8 inches is average by now, and 18.6 inches of snow is average for the whole season. So we still have more chances to go, I'm pretty sure. All right, here's what's going on with our satellite picture. Our next storm system is right there. It's a nice little curl off the California and Oregon coast. It's heading right towards us, and we'll have an effect from it. Tomorrow, a low pressure area will develop, and there might be some fog in the morning. And then as this goes by, approaches us, tomorrow night, 4 a.m., pink would be sleet and snow mix. So maybe a few snowflakes, but notice how it really goes across Iowa and Nebraska, just like we've had all season. That's why they're going to add to their snow totals, whereas we may have a few snowflakes or a little bit of sleet for about an hour on Sunday, and that's about it. Then that goes by, and here it comes. Downslope warming, an expansive area of warmer air will surge in here. 53 or 54 degrees Monday and 63 Tuesday. Here's our forecast. Tomorrow, 17 to start the day, 39 degrees at 2, 36 degrees at 6, and then a chance of showers Sunday morning, 54 Monday, 63 Tuesday, and next week, 47 Wednesday, 34 Thursday. No major storms heading towards us. Haley Lewis, it's Friday night in the big town.
Yes, it is, Gary, and there's a new pitcher but a familiar face, a legendary closer here in Kansas City. Gearing up this season, we're going to check in with the Royals out in Arizona. Plus, it's time for our Hy-Vee game of the week. Two top-ranked Missouri teams facing off tonight. See who came away with the win.